and a very warm welcome to Moneycontrol. I am Shweta Punj, and if you are a Vodafone user like I am, this explainer is a must watch. In fact, the current developments in the telecom sector and what we have heard recently from the Supreme Court are very significant for you and I both, because it could have a bearing on how much we pay for our phone calls, on how good our network is, and so on. Well, the Supreme Court on Monday, the 19th of May, rejected pleas by telecom majors Bharti Airtel, Vodafone Idea and Tata Teleservices for relief in the payments of their adjusted gross revenue liabilities, also known as AGR liabilities. The companies have sought a waiver of 40,000 crore rupees in liabilities related to the adjusted gross revenues. The companies had argued that a waiver was the need of the hour to ensure stability of the sector. They have also argued that there is an error in the calculation of dues by the Department of Telecommunication, which is the Government of India. So this is essentially a standoff between DoT and telecom giants. Telecom giants like Vodafone Idea, Bharti Airtel and Tata Teleservices were given a major blow on Monday as the Supreme Court dismissed their writ petitions seeking exemption from interest and penalties on adjusted gross revenue dues, calling the plea shocking and misconceived. That's what the Supreme Court called this plea by the telecom companies. We are really shocked by these petitions which have come before us. It is not expected of a multinational company. We will dismiss it. That's what the Supreme Court bench said yesterday in the ruling. The Supreme Court has said that the companies were of course free to explore other remedies, but not through a writ petition in the Supreme Court. Significantly, in September last year, the Supreme Court had dismissed the curative petitions filed by the telecom service providers against an October 2019 judgment which upheld the DoT's move to recover AGR dues to the tune of about 92,000 crores. So what is this whole AGR issue? What are the telecom companies fighting about? What is it that's threatening the stability of India's telecom sector? AGR issue, or the adjusted gross revenue case, is among the most significant cases in the Indian telecom sector, and it is one of the most longest ongoing legal struggles. This situation involves a conflict between the DoT and the telecommunications companies over the meaning and estimate of AGR, which is used to find license expenses and other charges. Now, AGR is defined as the profits of telecommunication operators from telecommunications and non-telecom services consisting of interest, earnings, funds and dividend increases. AGR is a metric used to determine the revenue that telecom operators must share with the government in the form of spectrum usage charges or licensing charges. Under this mechanism, telecom companies are required to share a percentage of AGR with the DoT. Now, the dispute between the telecom operators and the government concerns the definition of this AGR. Telcos have argued that only core business revenue should be considered, while the government contends that the AGR will include all revenue, including from non-telecom services. So I'll just do a quick recap. Essentially, telecom companies have said that AGR should only include revenue from the core operation, which is telecom, but the government is saying that the AGR will include revenue also from non-telecom services. In the October 29 verdict, the Supreme Court had ruled in favor of the government and had said that non-core business revenue must be included in AGR. Now, this particular ruling increased the burden on Vodafone Idea and Bharti Airtel, taking their liabilities to more than 90,000 crores. Now, as of financial year 23-24, Vodafone Idea's AGR dues increased to 70,320 crore rupees. Bharti Airtel owes about 44,000 crores. Just to give you a quick background, now this disagreement developed when the DoT wanted to feature revenue from non-telecom resources in the computation of AGR, while the telecom companies have disputed that and have said that merely the earnings coming from primary telecom services should be looked at. That is really the core issue here. Now, why is this so significant for Vodafone Idea? Now, Vodafone Idea is going through a very tough, financially a very tough phase. The company had managed to raise funds in the past and pay their debt on time, but their troubles are far from over. Vodafone Idea needs to raise more money through debt, but they could not proceed further because of no clarity on the AGR issue. However, now there is clarity on that. The government and the Supreme Court both have decided not to help the company in this regard anymore. The government on its own has helped Vodafone Idea several times in the past few years. There has been a relief package and dues have been converted to equity. But it does not seem like that there will be more help coming from the government for Vodafone Idea. So from FY26, Vodafone Idea needs to pay an annual amount of 18,000 crores for the AGR dues. Now, this number is very significant because this is almost twice the company's current operational cash generation, which is at currently 9,000 crores. So the total liability of Vodafone Idea in the AGR dues segment is 83,400 crores, which includes 28,294 crores as interest and then 6,012 crores in penalties and about 11,151 crores as interest on penalty. Now, the company is saying that if they were to pay this amount, it would cripple the company. It means a serious question mark on the existence of the company. The big question, that is Vodafone Idea in big trouble? The answer is yes. It could mean several things for the company. It could mean that the telco isn't generating enough cash to pay this amount, and then there is no bank fundraising yet that's happening. The telecom company, of course, has said that it is in talks with the lenders for raising debt, but the talks have yet to produce any positive results. Now, after the Supreme Court decision, there is clarity on that there will be no help coming in from the government, and now clearly the ball is in the hands of the debt providers. However, the lenders are going to be very, very cautious of providing Vodafone Idea with more funds at this stage. So it's overarchingly speaking, it's a very, very tricky situation for Vodafone Idea. Vodafone Idea has acknowledged in its application to the Supreme Court that it will not be able to continue operations without financial support. Overall, Vodafone Idea has a total debt of 1.7 lakh crores, of which it has to pay 83,000 crores in AGR dues. 1.7 lakh crores, ladies and gentlemen, is more than India's health budget, about equivalent to India's education budget, or maybe a little bit less. So it's a huge amount. Under a deferred payment scheme, Vodafone Idea has to pay annual AGR payments of about 18,000 crores starting FY26, which is, like I mentioned earlier, nearly twice its current operational cash generation of 9,200 crores. And while the banks have refused to issue any fresh loans to the company, the government has also said that it will not offer any more financial support after they've converted debt into equity. That debt was worth about 36,950 crores. Now, what are the options left for the company? Well, the options for the company are far and few. For one, the company could file for a voluntary bankruptcy. Or if they are able to generate help from the lending institutions, then it could help the company tide over this crisis. Well, in its February quarter, Vodafone Idea narrowed its net loss by 5.3% to 6,609 crore as compared to a loss of 6,985 crore incurred in the same quarter last year. Revenue from operations grew at about 4% annually, and capex spend for the quarter was 3,210 crores, with the full year capex to be around 10,000 crore. What is capex? Capex is essentially infrastructure that the company builds. So in the case of Vodafone, the full year capex, the allocation for that is 10,000 crore. Just to give you perspective, Airtel India's capex for the year was about 30,270 crores. Well, we'll be back with more such explainers. Do keep watching Money Control. Thanks so much for watching.